Hello.
Hey, Tren.
Hey, Lou, how are you?
Not too shabby.
Feeling a little bit
A
better?
little bit better, yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, the energies are just stuck at the moment.
Oh, God.
So,
Don't even start us.
no, it's,
Don't even
yeah,
start us. We are, by the way, the tarot
we are the tarot
dealers.
dealers. And if you'd like to contact us, we are on Facebook, Instagram, and our email is thetarotdealers@gmail.com.
That's right. You
Yeah.
can leave a comment on YouTube.
I
I'd be
always forget
happy for that.
YouTube.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you can get us all over the place. The tarot
The tarot dealers,
dealers.
yes. Yeah, so yeah, send us your feedback, send us your questions, send us
Yeah.
your ideas. We would love to know if you've got ideas or subjects you'd like us to cover.
Mm,
We'll do it.
that's right. We will. Nothing's undoable.
No,
So we'll do
we
it.
will do
Yeah,
it.
we'll
Yeah.
do it. It's
So
all doable, is what I
yes,
mean.
yeah.
All right, let's get to the
We're
card
gonna
of
pick a
the
card. The episode.
episode. I was going to say session. I always fuck that up. All right, the
What do we
episode.
need to know or bring into our awareness for this episode?
Okay.
For this episode, we need to know for this episode. The King of Swords. I think last week we had the Queen of Cups. Now we've got the King of Swords.
People.
Lots of people. Looking at the King, and we're using the Rider-Waite to choose the card. Looking at the King, and I know we're talking about this episode, but I think we need to be open to new ideas coming through.
Okay. Yeah. 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 I
New
can
values,
see that.
and it
Yeah.
very much, yeah, very because I think and I'm now looking at the butterfly up here. I think whatever new ideas that are coming through are going to be transform us in different ways, allow us to think differently about the card we're going to talk about.
There you
But
go.
again, it is.
We all might learn something.
Yeah, I know it's the King of Swords, but I feel like he's quite gentle. I don't
Okay.
know.
I don't think he's as rough as the
The
Queen.
Queen
Or
is,
as direct as the
yeah, I think
Queen. Like I think he's a bit more lenient.
he's a bit more, yeah, he's got that hard side. He can be strong and tough if he wants, but there just seems to be a gentleness about him.
Yeah, I think so. Because like he rules with logic and reason, doesn't
Yeah.
he?
And he's prepared to listen. Whereas
Yeah,
the
because that's
Queen,
part of communicating,
yeah, the
right?
Queen to me is like, no, you're doing it my way.
Yeah.
Whereas he's going, oh, listen, we'll probably still do it my way, but I'll listen to you
Yeah.
anyway.
So their communication piece then it
Communication,
might be
yeah,
about that
yeah,
today. And
yeah,
we might have our own realizations and
exactly,
transformations along
exactly,
the
yeah.
way.
But I just think we need to be open to whatever new comes
Okay.
out. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
All right. So what are we doing today? We are doing the moon.
We're getting
We are
down and dirty with moon.
We are getting down and dirty with the moon. So this is what we're doing, a deep dive
Yeah.
on the
So,
moon.
and like we're going to compare both Rider-Waite as well as the light seers again, because I like the light seers.
Yeah.
It gives a different interpretation. It allows you to see quite literally deeper into some of these cards.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd agree with that. Yeah,
Yeah.
completely. All right.
Right.
So what have we got about the moon? All right. So the moon speaks into mystery, illusion, delusion. It looks at our subconscious stuff, right? We talked a bit about that the other week,
The
right?
other week, yeah,
This is
with
the
the star.
yeah, this is the real deep subconscious stuff, right? Imagination of all things. So it speaks into that. It's the hidden stuff, confusion, can be deceit, can be shadow work.
Well, that's
Yeah,
all darkness, isn't it?
yeah, hidden enemies and masks, right?
Wow.
So lots of words that you could use for that.
Yeah.
So the first symbol that I often look at is this crayfish or lobster or whatever you want to call it, which is like right in the center of the card, but he's right at the front. So he's present and front and center, literally, is how you could look at that.
Yeah.
And he represents that deep, dark, murky depths of shit that we wade through before we come up, right? So it's all the stuff that we've been through and the subconscious stuff that we bring to the surface.
Yeah.
Right. Now, what do you call them? They're
Crustaceans.
crustaceans,
Yeah.
right? have the hard outer shell, right? But they're really soft and gooey inside,
yeah.
right? So to me, that is another thing that says, yes, I've been down to the depths of all of this and I've come up much stronger, but inside we're still a little bit gooey about it.
A bit mushy, aren't we?
A bit mushy about it. So people can be armored, particularly when we're talking about the subconscious piece.
Yeah.
So be aware of that if that's what you're drawn to, is what I would say for that. Makes sense?
Yeah, it does. And sort of, and in a sense, don't poke because you might shatter something.
Yeah, can be.
Yeah.
The other thing that it also speaks into is like a new consciousness, because you've brought up something deep, and you have an awareness now. And when we have an awareness of something and we bed that down as learning and it becomes a new way of being, we actually kind of level up and we become this new person, so to speak.
So it's a new way.
Yeah, a new way and a new consciousness. So when you see that also, if that's what you're drawn to, then it may be about the person that you're reading for has gone through such a transformation, there's that word, such a transformation that they have this new level of awareness and being, right?
Yeah, and because you're talking about the hard shell, so it's like they have had the hard shell, but they haven't quite completely hardened.
Yeah, right. So the experience has made them hard, maybe, or they've toughened up because they've had to. However,
but there's still that softness.
Inside, which I find, like, through my own personal experience, like going through life and you have an experience and then, you learn from it and you grow from it. And people may say, oh, gee, she's changed. Like, she's not as kind or as gentle as she once was. And I'm like, no, I just don't fucking.
You don't tolerate shit anyway.
Like, I'm not. Go away with the shit. But I'm still a very kind, compassionate person. That's inside of me.
Like, you
that's
are.
The guts, literally the guts of who I am. That's not going to change. How I respond and react to you might, and that might be based on
past experiences
or stuff that's occurred. But does it make sense?
Yes, it does. And it's almost like you are, and again, you're quite literally reading the energies of other people and just going, no, not putting up with that shit anymore.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm not having that in my space.
No. And if you don't like the way I react or speak back, that's your problem, not mine.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm not going to be gaslit.
Exactly.
Because I'm having a response to some of your behaviors or some of the things that you said. Yeah. Get fucked.
Exactly. Like, I'm not bending over backwards for you anymore.
No. So been a lot of change, you could say.
Yes.
But anyway.
Getting back to the crayfish.
Story, right? But so the other thing that I look at on here is those two towers. Now, whenever we're walking through two towers or, two poles or two of anything where we've got to go the middle road, right?
Like there's pillars in the High Priestess and there's pillars in Justice of you. There's a few, the towers turn up quite a few times in the majors anyway.
They do. And they'll lead to different stories, right? So in this, it's like take the middle road, right? Because you're going through the middle, but it's also, for me, a threshold that we cross over. So it's indicating like the change of guard, if you will, that something significant is changing. And we've gone through that. Sometimes it can be like a rite of passage as well, like, so for young girls, maybe, who are moving into, they get their moon time.
Yes.
Fucking moon time. They get their moon time. And then, of course, that's a rite of passage. What a beautiful ritual, that we can have for that. So it's that kind of thing, I feel.
Exactly.
Is what that can represent.
Almost like an initiation.
It is like an initiation, which leads me to the portal.
Oh, yes.
Could be a bit like a portal. Right?
Yes.
All the change, right? Incredible. So now I'm going to look at the dog and the wolf, right, on this card, which can represent the two sides of self, right? There's this domesticated side, there's this wild side, and which side is at play here? Are we acting instinctively, or are we being a good person and
following the rules
kind of thing, sit, beg, stay, roll, all that crap? Or are we allowing ourselves to be absolutely free, right? Are we tamed? Are we not?
Yeah.
So I kind of
Cool.
see it like that.
I'm just looking because you pointed
I
out
reckon
the
you got to honor your instincts though.
very much. Oh, very much. It's really interesting with both these cards. Look at the distance between, like you've got the wolf and the dog. Pull it back. But on the light seers, they are completely. There's a huge gap between them, completely
It's like a polar
separated.
opposite, isn't
Yeah,
it?
and again, in the light seers, it's black and white.
I was just going to say
Yeah,
that.
black and white.
Yeah.
Whereas in the Rider Waite, there's there's a dark, a dark and a light, but it's not so obvious.
No.
But I not putting the two together, I had not seen wrong way. I had not seen that huge separation before.
Mm.
So it's really and on the light seers, there's no towers. Because you mentioned the towers, and there's no towers, is there? Now we really have to look at this card because
No, there's not.
there's no towers.
No, there's not. I feel that when we look at the light seers deck, and you tell me how you
Yeah.
feel, but I feel that like we can get lost in the delusion and the emotion a lot more because she's completely submerged in the water, isn't she? Right? And I feel it's deeper
Than this one.
than this one, right?
It's consciously going deeper. Consciously.
Yeah.
And often is she falling or she rising?
Well,
In
that's
the light
true.
seers. And again, both actions are the consciousness of what you choose to do.
Yeah, see, I think she's going down.
She's going down.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Very, very interesting. So the moon itself is cyclic, right? So back in the day, the moon would be what they would plant their crops by.
Yes.
Right? The harvest moon and all that stuff. You hear about all that, right? Which cycle is it in? Is it waxing, waning, all the things, right? So I feel that the moon can help for that, but the moon will speak into cycles of life. So it's like, where are you at in a cycle, or for women, your cycle?
Your cycle, yeah.
Right? Just interesting. So that it impacts the tides when you think about that.
Well, that's what the moon does, doesn't it?
Does. And therefore impacts our emotions.
Yes.
Right? That's our tide, isn't it?
Yeah.
Right? So pay attention to patterns and cycles, I feel.
Because you talk about the tides. We are made up as what? Water.
We are. What was it? I don't know what
it's a huge
percentage,
percentage
yeah,
of water. We are a huge. So of course we're going to react with the moon and the cycles and the tides.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So it's an invitation to explore the hidden parts of yourself, right? Or the hidden parts of a situation, right?
Yeah.
Is what I would say. And because the moon doesn't use its own light, it uses the reflection of the sunlight, right? So this reminds us to reflect, to take a moment to, reflect about what's gone on, what's happening inside of me and what's happening outside of me, because they're often the same, right? They just present differently. Yeah. So it definitely reminds us to do that. What else have I got here? The moon is great energy for meditation, journaling, and free writing.
That's interesting,
isn't it? So a bit of a tool. They're all tools. But specifically for that. Okay, so you'll see there that on this deck, it's the moon and the sun kind of together.
Yeah, this is just completely the moon.
Yeah, completely the moon. See, it makes more sense to me to be completely the moon. But anyway, it's the moon and the sun here, and that speaks to the light to reflect, right? So that's the reminder, the light to reflect, and the little droplets. See those little droplets on that
yellow
card? Yeah, those little. That reminds us of the connection between heaven and earth. Or source and Mother ourselves. Earth, Mother Earth, and that's what that is. It's the divine spark. So you might get some divine spark inspiration, or get some intuitive hits, right?
Yes.
So that's what that can represent. The path is the inner. You'll see here, the path here.
That's where the crayfish is coming up towards, isn't it?
That's correct. Yeah, and it moves all the way back over these mountains at the back here. Mountains or water. I reckon it's mountains.
Yeah, I think it's mountains.
Yeah, it's just because it's blue, it gets a bit confusing. But that reminds us of inner and our outer worlds and the journey that we're on.
Yeah.
That's what that speaks to. And because this path goes off to fuck knows where, it's speaking to the unknown. Exactly. Speaks to the unknown. Now, the moon itself is aligned with the element of water.
Mhm.
Now, it's interesting because Cancer, right, is ruled by the moon.
That's interesting. You've got a crayfish here, and the Cancer is
Is a
crab.
crab. Yeah.
Yes.
So interesting. So yeah, rules Cancer,
Yeah.
right? And water, remember, is where all life begins,
Yes.
right? So
Yeah.
it's like, oh,
Yeah.
always pay attention to the water.
Yeah.
Remember where we came from also,
Mhm.
right, is the other thing here. So our past, our subconscious, and these things may be impacting that journey that we're taking.
Yep.
Right? Is it impacting the journey we're taking? And
Yeah.
going back to the cycle thing and women and moon time and all of that kind of thing, very feminine card.
Mhm.
Very feminine card. Now you'll also see on the High Priestess that there's a crescent moon,
Yes,
right?
down by her feet.
Down by
isn't
her
it?
feet.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's the connection to the feminine, right?
Yes.
So that reminds us too, oh yeah, the
That's
moon is
right. Yeah.
connected to the feminine. Interesting. So we need to listen to our own depths, and this
That
definitely
definitely fits
shows
that,
that.
doesn't it?
That's the
Light seers
lights.
deck.
I'm like, what the fuck? Yeah, that's the light seers deck. Listen to your depths and listen to
Yeah.
your instincts.
Yeah.
Absolutely,
I
and your
often think
intuition.
with the light seers, I often think surrender.
Yeah, I can
Surrender
see
to
that
that.
in
You know,
that.
you
Yeah,
are surrendering and allowing yourself to go deeper because
absolutely.
you've got the answers, but unless you're surrendered to them, they're not going to come up.
That's right. And that leads to the next point, which is about the wisdom, right?
Yes. Yeah.
All of the wisdom that we have available to us. There is wisdom here, for sure. There
huge.
is wisdom here.
Yeah.
And it's that wisdom that will support this unknown journey
Yeah.
that we're taking here. Yeah, so moon medicine. What the fuck is
Yeah,
moon
moon
medicine?
medicine.
What is that? So it's loving and it's kind and it asks us to use compassion.
Well, that's nice.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
that's really
Right,
nice.
that's the medicine part of the
Yeah.
card, right? So and knowing what cycle the moon is in can help us in how best to focus our energies. Is it about releasing? Is it about planting
Planting
seeds?
seeds. Yes. Because we've got the full moon and the new
The
moon.
new moon, right? And then you've got the waxing and the
Like
waning,
one, yeah,
right? So when do you prune?
exactly.
Yeah, all of that, right?
Yeah.
So
And that's
when
talking
do you
about ourselves.
rest?
Yeah,
Yeah, when do
talking
you
about
rest?
ourselves.
Absolutely talking about yourself. When do you rest?
When do you rest?
Absolutely.
Because we can go and go and go and then fall down
Oh,
because we've taken no notice of what our body is doing.
and of course, the two of us have never experienced that.
Not at all.
Not at all. Every fucking day. Yeah. So anyway, so then it's the number 18, right? So the number 18 carries spiritual understanding with it, and 1 and 8 is 9, right? Which can speak about closure sometimes,
Yeah,
right?
you're almost at the end, isn't it? You can see the end
Yep.
inside.
And it's interesting because 9 is the hermit, right? And the hermit speaks to the wisdom that we've gained by doing the internal dive, right? So that's what that is talking about. So, and 9 gives us a sense of completion, as we said. But the 18, back to that, apart from it being like spiritual understanding, it's also transformation, which says that word again.
Yeah, exactly.
So, and the transformative power of the self-discovery, which leads to the 9, which is the hermit.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah.
So it's huge, isn't it? But it very much is. The moon is very much about, similar to the hermit, but going within, doing the work on yourself.
Yeah, go within.
And I often quite, especially on the Rider-Waite, I often quite look, you are doing your work on yourself with that crayfish, but with the wolf and the dog, the tame and the untame, are you fighting with yourself too?
Absolutely. That's a really good point.
Are you fighting with yourself? Are you ignoring what's coming up and you're trying to not be conscious, but it's like, well, denying it, which is the moon. You're denying what is coming up subconsciously that unconsciously you've asked for. You've done the work,
right,
but then consciously you're fighting with yourself over it. You know?
Yeah, it's interesting. And remember, the moon can speak into like things that are hidden. So it's like what we're hiding from ourselves, or things that the shadow that we didn't maybe know was there, or we didn't know that we felt a certain way about a certain thing. But again, if we bring something to the body, the more that we are aware of how we're actually feeling, the easier it is to move through stuff, sort stuff,
Exactly.
work on stuff. And it's not that we want to eliminate our shadows. Fuck no.
No,
They are part
they're part of it. Yeah.
and they've been a big protector, right?
Exactly.
Otherwise,
We'd be in huge trouble if we didn't listen to that side of us, wouldn't we?
absolutely. And sometimes that shadow comes out and it might act in an unhealthy way, but it's always about protection. So when the shadow shows, I'd get curious, like seriously get curious about that. Like, what is it about this situation that specifically causes anxiety? And is that a story that I've replayed in my head so fucking much that I've made it who I am?
You now believe it,
And
don't you?
I believe it. I've
Yeah.
become it,
Yeah.
right? When that's not it
It's
at
not
all,
it
right?
at all.
And remember, there's actually no right or wrong in life anyway. There's only experience, right?
Exactly.
So this asks us to check out those experiences and embrace those
Yeah,
experiences.
exactly. And not hold back.
That's right.
Not hold back.
Allow the experience to help you transform, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. I keep coming back to this point. It's like that surrender. That surrender.
Yeah, I
It really
agree with
is.
that on there. Yeah.
Because she had, I mean, if you look at her expression on her face, she's not worried. She knows this is what she needs to do to bring up and acknowledge, either let things go or deal with them.
Mm.
You know,
Yeah,
it's quite a
I do
lovely
like
card,
that, yeah.
actually. You know, but yeah, I am finding that I look at the figures' expressions more often lately. I really am looking, because that's going to tell me more.
Absolutely.
Whereas if this came out in the Rider-Waite, well, I will just read it as I normally do.
Yeah.
But using the light seers, the expressions on their faces are quite literally so much more expressive, and it's giving a deeper message. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. And that's why like we will both advocate for working with more than one deck,
Yeah.
right? And really checking into it, because you're going to get a different feel, a different message, a different depth of
Yep.
what it is that you can learn or gain
Exactly.
from having a look at a card or getting a reading or
Yep.
whatever, right?
Exactly. Exactly. Because everybody's got their own interpretations.
And that matters, right? Because, you know, you can go to a teacher who can teach you the guts of what it is, but at the end of the day, I always believe it comes back to see, feel, know, and trust. And what it's telling you.
Yeah.
And then whatever you're getting.
Exactly.
Right? What does that mean for you? Because that's your personal part of the message, right? Yeah, sure, the card can still mean all these other things. And it might be that you need to have an awareness or an alertness to those other things, but it's not everything.
No, it's
you know,
not.
and I'd prefer to work from an intuitive space.
Exactly. Because
I
you get
just
more.
find, yeah,
You get more.
Absolutely get more. Yeah, absolutely. Or a clairvoyant space, whatever you want to fucking call that. Yeah.
And like we've always said, you know, if you reading with the Rider-Waite, throw the book away. Throw the book away. Because the little booklet that comes with the Rider-Waite is what, 100 years old? The messages are 100 years old, let's put it that way. They're not going to make much sense in today's world. So that way it comes back to trusting, see, feel, hear, and know, and trust what you get, because that's is going to feel right to you.
That's correct. And that's that transformation piece as to how, like, I think the history of the tarot absolutely needs to be respected and honored, hands down. And I think there are symbols on there that definitely connect with the psychology piece, and they don't change a lot.
They don't change.
And yet there's this other part of life that we need to add in now and give it its new
the more modern view, isn't it?
View, I like that modern view.
Because when I do readings, I will use both those, the Rider-Waite and the light seers, because I get more out of using both.
Yeah, whereas I'll start with the Dragon Tarot and put the Dragon Tarot down, and for me that's the scaffolding, right? It's like, okay, this is what it's based on. Yes, no, do you agree, do you disagree? Yep, great. And then get into the reading.
So I know we're talking about the moon, but even that, we have transformed our readings.
Yeah, absolutely.
From experiences that we've gained, teachers we've been through, just reading ourselves.
Yeah, or going for reading and seeing how someone else does it. I think that's important too.
So don't ignore that. If you feel like you need a reading, go and find somebody. Don't try and do it yourself, because you're just going to tell yourself what you want to know.
Yeah, and I mean, I think like I don't know about you, Tren, but I got to a point where I couldn't read for myself. It was kind of like I started to get this tunnel vision or these blind spots, or I would only focus on that part of the situation. And another example of that would be the other day I was doing the morning card read, and I'm looking at it thinking, Jesus, like, thinking it was a certain way, and then my day unfolded and I was like, fuck, that's what that was about, So it was more like, definitely be open. So I think that it's great when you're learning to definitely be reading for yourself. Absolutely.
And journal as you're learning.
Absolutely. That's a good point, Tren. However, go and have readings, experience different readers, see how they do it. What have you learned? What have you learned as a reader watching somebody else? Like, is there a way you like to deliver a certain card now, or would you never do that?
Exactly.
You learn a lot.
Exactly. Experiment,
Reflect.
Very much.
Reflect, transform.
Exactly. It's all happening.
It is all happening. Well, there you go. That's the moon. We hope you like that.
Yes, I hope you've enjoyed that. And yes, and like I said, if you'd like to got any ideas or anything you'd like us to cover, just let us know.
And you can connect with us by
Instagram, Facebook, or email. And the email is at tarotdealers@gmail.com.
And YouTube.
And YouTube.
Oh, good. So reach out in need. Reach out out of curiosity.
Exactly. Or just say hi.
Just say hi, people. Just say hi. Like, share, subscribe, all the things. We love it. Thank you for your support.
Thank you.
Have an amazing day.
See you later.
Bye.